Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss another important and interesting topic from the First World War. We know that the First World War was fought from 1914 to 1918. After the First World War, to re-establish peace, cooperation and harmony in the world, an international organization was set up on the basis of the 14 points given by Woodrow Wilson, the then President of the United States of America. This international organization was set up on 10th January 1920 with its headquarters in the city of Geneva in Switzerland. It ceased its operations on 20th April 1946. Now the question arises, why did this organization fail in achieving its aims and objectives? Why it failed to save the world from the Second World War that started in 1939 and ended in 1945. Here are some of the points. The League of Nations was formed to re-establish peace, cooperation and harmony in the world, as I told you earlier. But many big nations of the world didn't become member in this organization. What to say about other countries? हम दूसरे देशों की बात करें तो वो निरर्थक होगी, जबकि इसका फाउंडर यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स ऑफ अमेरिका ही इसका मेंबर नहीं बना। विश्व के बहुत से हिस्टोरियंस का ऐसा मानना है कि अगर यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स ऑफ अमेरिका लीग ऑफ नेशंस का मेंबर बन गया होता तो शायद यह असफल नहीं होता, शायद यह दुनिया को सेकेंड वर्ल्ड वार से बचा लेता। लेकिन these are the things only to say. Whatever has happened, has happened. America didn't become a member in the League of Nations, and the League of Nations failed. This is the truth, and we have to accept it. The Soviet Union and Germany were not allowed to join the League of Nations for different reasons suggested by Britain and France. The member countries and their interests at international level conflicted against one another. These conflicting dreams and aspirations of different member nations weakened the League of Nations. We must know one thing. For any organization, for any institution, at any level, fund is one of the most important requirements. The League of Nations had no fund of its own. The League of Nations depended on its very important and dominating members for the fund. One more thing we can add to that, and that is the nations who provided fund to the League of Nations, they provided for their own objectives. In this way, the League of Nations failed to run its operations successfully and smoothly. The League of Nations had no army of its own. At that time, the League of Nations required its own army for different peacekeeping operations in different parts of the world. But it depended entirely on member nations for armed forces, for peacekeeping forces. The dominating members like Britain and France always thought of their own objectives, their own interests before providing forces and funds to the League of Nations. The founder members like Britain and France tried always to dominate the terms and conditions, the rules and regulations, the operations by the League of Nations. Disarmament. The League of Nations advocated disarmament, but the League of Nations itself required army, arms, and ammunitions for its peacekeeping operations. When disarmament was advocated by the League of Nations, it was difficult for many member nations to go for latest weapons, to go for latest arms and ammunitions, to go for strengthening their own armies. And that became a problem for the League of Nations also, when it required army, arms and ammunitions for its operations in different parts of the world. When the member nations started attacking one another for own interests, it had become difficult for the League of Nations to check the Great Depression of 1929. Due to the worldwide economic crisis or the Great Depression of 1929, most of the countries in the world faced many financial economic problems. Their industries collapsed, unemployment increased, poverty increased, industries, agriculture, trade, commerce, money, banking, transport, communication, everything had collapsed. It was very, very difficult for the member nations in the world to keep up their financial operations. In this way, it was difficult for them to support the League of Nations in a better financial way, better economic way. Therefore, we can say that the League of Nations failed for many reasons. लीग ऑफ नेशंस कई कारणों से असफल रहा। इसकी स्थापना जब की गई थी तो सपने ये देखे गए थे कि ये दुनिया को दूसरे विश्व युद्ध से आसानी से बचा ले जाएगा, लेकिन जैसा कि हम लोगों ने देखा, इसके कुछ कारण रहे कि यह असफल रहा। फॉर सम रीजंस दिस international organization failed, and the rise of Hitler in Germany and Mussolini in Italy further intensified the situation in Europe and ultimately in the whole world. With the attack of Hitler, with the attack of Nazi Germany on the Donjing port of Poland on 1st September 1939, the Second World War started. The most dangerous war in the human history. Thank you very much. Please do take care of your health and studies. God bless you all.